Welcome to the state. My name is Thapelo Kgaje. This is
Jacob Cloete.
Yeah, and this is a vlog where we just talk about politics, history, economics, and of course just everything current affairs. So the previous episode we were talking about the elections. As you all know that South Africa had the national elections just a couple of weeks ago. To be specific, was it last week or?
It's national and provincial.
What was it? Oh, national and provincial.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was last week Wednesday.
Okay. So now we're just trying to, after what we saw, what happened, we're just trying to review what's the next step from this point onwards. And of course, we're here to just discuss that and let's just take it on from there and see how it goes. So what do you think? I mean, there was a lot of expectations specifically for EFF. And in fact, I heard someone saying like EFF won the votes on social media only. Because there was more noise there. But what's your opinion on the whole outcome of everything?
So whoever that is who said that the EFF actually won the votes on social media, okay, they won over the youth or the people on social media. Mm-hmm. So then there's already a victory. But this person clearly doesn't look at the election results or follow the trends of election results since 1994. So since 1994, you will see that the ANC's voting or the number peaked in 2004. So in 2005, the whole Jacob Zuma and the arms deal came out, and the whole kind of the ANC tear between Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki. And since then, you see the steep decline in terms of the ANC's support at the national and the provincial and even at the local government level. So there's a steady decline of the ANC. So they are now in their 50s from a point where they're 69, 2004. So this person didn't take this into consideration. The EFF is in 2 elections. First is 6, now they're 10%. So, and if you look at the DA also is on a steady decline. So and it's not even a steady decline. I said to you that in the last episode that they actually reached the ceiling. So what you see is the ceiling that they have reached. So they lost 2%. The ANC lost, I think, about 4%, and the EFF gained about 4%. So the EFF is the only party in South Africa that actually had an increase in terms of voting.
Oh.
So, like I said in the last in the last episode, the EFF is the future, because this is the party that is going to grow because they attract the youth.
And would you agree then, if that's the case, so I was watching this other interview of this other Kenyan lady. She makes reports based on really African current affairs, and then she mentioned that this was basically the last time the ANC had a smooth sailing into winning the elections, and then her outlook is that next elections EFF is taking it.
So the EFF could have taken this election if the youth voted. I actually wanted the youth to vote in this particular election, but you didn't vote, and a lot of other people didn't vote. You didn't vote because you didn't register.
I didn't register, unfortunately.
And that's the problem with many other youth. They didn't register in South Africa. But then there's those that have registered but didn't see the need to vote. There's a number of students that said to me is that they didn't vote. And I said, if there wasn't free education after fees must fall, that the whole debacle was settled in South Africa, would you have voted? And they said yes. So the youth doesn't have anything to vote for at this particular stage. So if they have something to vote for, they would. But there is nothing to vote for them.
No, I never thought of it that way.
So getting to that analysis, I think it's too quick to make such adjustment. Yes, the next election there might be an increase in the EFF's growth, but it's too early. The 5 is only starting now. So they still need to go into government. It's a 5-year term, and people think a 5-year term will really go quick. There's so many things that affects a political party's voting supporting base by the time it's election again. The ANC's win in this particular election is purely because of Cyril Ramaphosa. If Jacob Zuma was still, or Dlamini Zuma, then I don't think the ANC would have done that good. And it will actually have given the EFF more support from the middle class and even from within the ANC.
But then, because I agree with her, because I'm considering the amount of support that Julius Malema has, like, throughout Africa, you know. Like, there's even, I think it's in Senegal, if I'm not mistaken, like, there's, not just Senegal, but there's quite a few number of countries that, where organizations name themselves EFF also, but not necessarily political. There's quite a lot of economic freedom fighters. Same color, they wear red berets, but obviously the logos and all that are not the same because it's not affiliated with South Africa's EFF. So maybe because of that influence and how, you know, Julius Malema pushes African unity, making it one state, and all of these, you know, benefits that he wants us, or like these like self-sustaining, you know, economic ideas that he has. Yeah, I think it could happen because I'm mostly looking at the fourth industrial revolution and how, you know, the upcoming youth and how they're using most of the technology. And because of that, because social media is a huge influence, there's so much misinformation, I think they stand a chance, you see.
To win the next...
to win it, yeah.
But like I said, it's too early, man. Let's first see how far they're going to get with the biggest contention issue in Parliament, which is the land expropriation. Let's first deal with land transformation in South Africa, because that's the only thing that the ANC and the EFF is currently agreeing upon. So there's many differences that they still have, but there is cabinet that still has to come in. South Africa's economy is stagnant; it doesn't grow. Us consumers are feeling it. A 10 rand is not, you can't do nothing with a 10 rand. So there's a number of things that these political parties, the DA in the Western Cape has to do. The DA in the Western Cape's policy won't change because they don't have any real opposition. So the racism and the things that they got away in the last 10 years or so, they will continue in the Western Cape. So that won't change. For black people in the Western Cape, it will get worse. Yeah. The middle class will have some benefits in the Western Cape.
Because actually I have a question, like, well, Simone sent it to me, but so I watched, there was a guy on Instagram by the name of Grant Sobotka, and he mentioned a question. So he watched our previous episode, and then he said it was pretty interesting, and then he says, one of the things I found interesting near the beginning of the video was that talking about each party's voter base. So you remember we spoke about that, and then she said it would be cool to break down what the messaging of each party was, i.e. what they thought their base was most interested in, and then after the election to see how effective that messaging was, you know. So, and yeah, that's the first question basically. And then the second question is the DA's aggressive marketing and, you know, attack and fear-mongering is it US style politics getting them to break that ceiling? So like the way that they just push their message in like your typical American kind of way, is it, you know, is it actually doing anything for them?
So let's start with the first question. And I try to get posters for this particular episode, so to show people what was the different parties' election things, especially in the Western Cape. So in the Western Cape, let's take the three big parties. The EFF's poster was Julius Malema, and then it says son of the soil. So saying this particular person is from Africa, authentically African. The ANC's one was one of Cyril Ramaphosa for president, and then says the people's choice. So it's saying that this person here is the people's choice. Then there was a couple of DA posters in the Western Cape, and the focus of their campaign was really centered in the Western Cape to keep their power block in the Western Cape. So, and they were shamelessly racist in their campaigning, because they put this on the posters here: stop ANC and EFF.
Yeah.
That is shamelessly kind of we need to unite behind is whatever DA support, white support, so that we can stop the ANC and the EFF, the two biggest black parties in South Africa. So let's keep the psychologically and the message that you get at the subconscious level is let's keep the Western Cape white in color. So if you don't like the ANC or you don't like the people who run the ANC because of race, then you will keep let's vote for the DA. So that's in terms of messaging. It didn't work. It might have worked in the Western Cape to a certain extent, but it didn't work at the national level. So there's your style of election campaign that they've copied. They even copy Barack Obama's Make America Great Again thing, the previous election. These things are not working for the DA because we are not US. We're not the US. In the US, the biggest part of the voting bloc is middle class. So the focus of those parties is middle class politics. If you are middle class focusing, then you're small. It's like a.
You mean in South Africa?
Yeah.
Oh.
You are like the. But you like the butter. It's like really thin. There's nothing there.
And it won't create much effect,
Yeah.
because of that. Okay, now I see what you mean.
The second question there was.
Is it? Oh, there. That was the second question, and then we see over here. Oh, is the EFF basically ignoring mass media in historically white areas, like at least in the Western Cape, or like is it costing them actually? And is the ANC hurting its credibility by continually promoting itself as an agent of change? That's another question.
So the ANC have been hurting itself since that disagreement between Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki. So that have kind of tore the party into two. Another thing that creeped into the ANC was self-interest. The elite started plundering state resources and just started looking after their families and really trying to get things for them and kind of neglected or marginalized the majority of people in South Africa. So the ANC have been sabotaging themselves for. The interesting question is the EFF's election campaign strategy. They don't have the finances of the DA and the ANC. So you have to be selective and strategic, and they really strategically use the election things. The only poster that I saw in Belleville was in front of Home Affairs. Why would it be the EFF poster? I haven't seen it in Belleville in any other place. There was two in Belleville in front of Home Affairs. Why?
Because that's where like people go. Is that where not registered to vote, but like I mean, there's a whole lot of things that you do there, right? Like obviously like signing up for certificates and IDs. Is there another?
And you get your temporary IDs there to vote. You get your IDs to vote, so that is very effective. So with the little resources, they were really strategic in placing the places where they can put it up. So there was even a discussion, a disagreement between this Habib, the director of I think UJ, Habib, and the EFF, because criticizing the EFF on not putting up their posters in white areas.
Can I jump in? People
Okay.
are like, oh,
Whoa,
there's someone
you are
behind the
here.
camera.
Hi, Simone.
Simone dancer. So, you speaking about that, actually, here in my area where we voted, it was also at a school, primary school, and every year there's been, when I voted here, there's a DA gazebo, and then there's a desk and people sitting there. So obviously they're allowed to be there, but they're not allowed to campaign, they're not allowed to call you out or shout anything and try to get you to vote in. So they have to be off the premises. So they were opposite the road. And they're chilling there, obviously only white people, chilling there in the DA tent gazebo thingy. And then just next to them, there was a guy standing, but he had an EFF banner that he tied from one pole to the other pole. And it was just one guy, it was one black guy walking around this banner the whole time. And I think I saw this image and I'm like, this doesn't seem right, this doesn't feel right. And like, what is really going on here? Because we're constantly saying how different if the DA really wanted to show us, they would have gotten a chair for that guy to come and chill with them under that, because it was raining.
Yo.
It was raining on and off that day. And he was just walking around that gazebo. They're chilling in there. They've got their coffees and stuff. Show us, man. Show us how this country is going to be unified by bringing that guy into your tent.
But here's the interesting part, is that the DA and the EFF have municipal coalitions in the Eastern Cape and in Gauteng. So they work together at the governance level. But when it comes to campaigning, they're enemies.
Yeah.
When it comes to the national thing. Now, what you are referring to is a level of humanity.
Yes.
When it comes to when it's raining and this particular thing.
Yes.
At least give shelter during raining. But for me, more is the stark differences. The ANC spent over 200 million rand on campaign.
Sure.
Just campaigning to get the vote. The EFF doesn't even come close. I think Julius or Floyd said that they spent less than $1 million or so on the election campaign. So finances win elections.
True.
The ones with the big finances win elections, and the ANC. Now the big question is, who is giving the finance? Who is financing? Do you guys want to guess?
Businesses.
Yeah. So who's the businesses?
Well, they're termed white monopoly capital, so mostly it's white businesses.
Yes.
Private companies.
And so the same white people same white monopoly companies that people calling it, that is giving finances to the ANC will also give finance to the DA and to the EFF. So when the Gupta scandal broke, that they financed the ANC's, I think, 2009 election campaign, and the DA really went hard at the ANC. The Guptas came out but say, we also gave you finance, money, the DA. So you better keep quiet. And there's another situation where the EFF got money from the Rupert family.
Yeah. The EFF. From the Rupert family.
Yes.
But
wait, Johan Rupert came out and said, but we also give you money. So but in South Africa, you don't have to open and declare where your things are coming from. So there's instances where people expose themselves. But it would have been better if there's more open and transparency where the money is coming from.
I agree.
Because then you can trace it. I think we need to move on to
obviously the talk of the moment is Trevor Noah and what he said about Julius Malema on the Daily Show. I personally have opinions about it. Just to be like clear, I was quite shocked, and actually I was left confused, you see. But basically Trevor Noah compared, of course, Julius Malema to Trump, and there were some video clips that are shown, and it didn't really come off right for a lot of people, and
And more importantly, he accused Julius Malema of being a genocidaire.
Oh yeah, I forgot that part.
So that for me is that you can make jokes, you can compare him to Trump, but accusing Julius as a white genocidaire. Genocidaire means is that someone was in support of genocide, and I that is where it's just not a joke anymore. So how did you feel about it?
Okay, so how I felt, because like I used to be quite a huge fan of like conspiracy theories. So like, because at the end of the day, we don't know. Okay, I personally think no one knows what the hell is happening. We try to pretend that we do. Some maybe have more knowledge than others, but like because of that mind of like my whole conspiracy theorist mind, I saw it as what the hell is happening to him, because there was like an act of puppeteerism, if there's such a word, but like it's like they were, it's like he's being used as a puppet. I don't think for a person who wants to push for their continent to be united, to be self-sustaining, and all these things that he normally mentions. Because even some lady was like, hey Trevor, what's up? Like, you should remember we're trying to work on ourselves here. We're trying to like build ourselves as Africans. So what you're doing is actually sort of like pulling one down. That kind of mentality, or like that kind of thing, you know, that kind of. She mentioned that, but also I felt like you never know what happens in the US. The US for me, personally, is very. The Hollywood industry is quite freaky for me. You see, so I don't know.
I don't think there's any conspiracy behind this. And I don't think in this particular case that Trevor Noah was a puppet. Because a puppet would mean is that there's a particular gain that you get from this. Whatever. So there's someone controlling you and calling these things. Now my question is the American media society so in tune with South Africa and South African jokes that they really care that much about South African elections?
I mean, but it was there on The Economist last year. Like The Economist takes out like a cover for the, you know, for the next year, and it's always like a huge event. So they released 2019's cover, and like the elections were there. So I'm just thinking, you know, the elections.
Okay, so let's take white genocide in South Africa. So Steve Hofmeyr have been a big proponent saying that there's a white genocide taking place in South Africa. So if you look at that interview which Trevor Noah takes a clip from, it's this idea: is there a white genocide going on in South Africa? And this is the discussion that is actually happened there. Is that no, there is not a white genocide of South African farmers in South Africa. I think on Friday a farmer was found guilty of how he killed a black farmer on his farm, and the way black farm workers are killed across South Africa by white farmers are not a main media thing. So black farm workers getting killed on farms is wrong. White farmers being killed on their farms is wrong. This is what I'm saying. The question is there a genocide taking place of white people in South Africa? There is structurally more black people being killed by a particular violence than white people in this particular country. There is not a white genocide taking place. Trevor was wrong to take Julius Malema's clip out of context and really portray him as a white genocidaire in South Africa. That is where Trevor is wrong. And the joke that Trevor made is also very ill-timed, because during that time, Julius was busy with his grandmother's funeral. So it was really below the belt. His mom passed away, his grandma passed away, the person who raised him. Julius said it on social media. Everybody knows about him. Trevor even follow him, but you make a joke like that while this person is burying his grandma. And the one thing that Trevor needs to know about is that it's not South Africa that gets the spotlight. It's Africa that gets the spotlight. This is how people in Africa is acting. So yesterday, Africa was trending. Africa and South Africa was trending on social media. And I was wondering why. Do you know why? Arnold Schwarzenegger got a drop kick in South Africa, but the thing that trended alongside him was South Africa and Africa, because the media reports throughout the world said Arnold Schwarzenegger getting attacked in Africa or Arnold Schwarzenegger getting attacked in South Africa. And this is what Trevor doesn't take into consideration, because when you have money and the kind of money that he has, then he doesn't realize the things that he does on his show has real effects for real people in Africa.
Yeah. Like how he, because he once also on one of his episodes he once like made fun of, but I know Idi Amin was a dictator and like he was really, ruthless. He was comparing Idi Amin to Donald Trump at some point. It's quite early, I think last year. And then, but he kept speaking about how stupid he is, you see. But yeah, I think it's. Did he respond? Because I haven't checked if.
No, Trevor didn't respond. But my boycott, I've started the boycott. I'm not going to watch the Daily Show. I support Trevor because he's South African. But I cannot watch the Daily Show until he haven't apologized.
Yeah.
He needs to apologize to Julius. Because you cannot take a 40 long minute interview out of context just to paint a person in a particular life.
Because even that part where he was like, no, we're not saying we're going to kill white people, at least for now. You know, I think that at least for now is referring to if people get angry that, you know, they're not actually, you know, like usually people just get angry for like what they're supposed to have, or like just people fighting for their rights, you know. So I just thought like,
yeah, but Julius also didn't go to the private and the nice schools like Trevor did, where you can use and phrase your English in a proper way while you sit on a fucking daily show and have a nice vocabulary. That's why the fuck he's on the daily show, is because he doesn't speak English like most South African does, because of the kind of education that he went through. His father is white. His mother worked her ass off so that he can get that education where he is really good in terms of pronunciation. Julius go and explains his what he said, at least not for now. Because Julius also said my life is as much at risk when there is a popular uprising. I'm one of the first black people who's going to die because I am a sellout. He even called him a sellout in that particular interview. So it's, yeah, so
I mean, like,
Julius said he's a sellout.
Oh yeah, and then continue, but I have a question also.
Okay, but the point is that if it was Julius Van Neck, English is not his Van Neck, then it would have been a completely different pronunciation and a nuance.
Like the right point could have been like put across. Because he mentioned like, yeah, no, that's maybe he's trying to appease his, Julius Malema said this, maybe he's trying to appease his white masters when they invited him to the parliament in Cape Town. You know, you remember when he went to like, so I don't know, is that how you see it also, or?
Simone was going mad behind the camera, like wrap up. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up, people. Is Trevor Noah appeasing his white masters? And when he says white masters, he implicates Cyril Ramaphosa, because Cyril invited Trevor to parliament. Cyril Ramaphosa is also responsible for the black people killed in Marikana, because he was the only black ex-officio director on the London board at that particular time. So, there's obviously Cyril Ramaphosa, white monopoly capital in South Africa, and a joke with Trevor Noah. I have my views on it, and I think the audience also have their view on it. So, let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, no, so guys, just make sure that if you have any opinions, you can just comment there, leave a comment or questions, and then maybe we can even discuss them on the next episode. Yeah, I mean, I must say, like, it really came as a shock, but yeah, hopefully everything will be okay, and then otherwise someone will come running like Schwarzenegger there.
But Cyril Ramaphosa killed more black people than Julius Malema ever did. And that's the truth. And for that, he served white mind bosses. And that's a fucking reality that Trevor Noah doesn't want to. It's a fucking dick rider, man. Fuck Trevor Noah.
Yeah, I think there you have it, guys. This is our episode for the state, and of course catch us again next time. We talk about politics, history, economics, and just the current state. So catch you again next time. I'm 44 Images or Thapelo Kgaje.
Jacob Cloete. And Simone Momplé behind the camera.
On Instagram.
See you guys next time.